And now, you member of the Ecowas Parliament, and parliaments across the globe have critical and important roles that they play. Now, let's bring it down to Ecowas, with the Parliament. What are some of the things that are happening so far with the Ecowas Parliament?
Well, thank you. Let me first of all say that we are happy to be here. Not just me, by extension, the Ecowas Parliament is happy to be here. Because in our view, whatever we are doing, accurate information to the people we serve is very important to the job we do. So your institution giving us that opportunity, for me, is a very good initiative. So we thank you for allowing us that opportunity. ECOWAS has transitioned for quite a while now, from 1975, from the formation of ECOWAS, from a secretariat level now, a transition from 2007 to a commission level, of course, with all of the organogram. I don't need to go into that. But ECOWAS has not just transitioned in terms of the structure, it has transitioned in terms of the programs, in terms of the objectives, the targets, the mission. Recently, ECOWAS, and I will speak more on what the Parliament has been involved with, but ECOWAS in general, a few of the things that we see happening now is ECOWAS is focused on not just economic integration, but ECOWAS is transitioning from an ECOWAS of state to an ECOWAS of people. For us to achieve an ECOWAS of people, then free movement of people, of goods, and of services will be at the heart of that agenda. ECOWAS has to be a community of people. We have to go beyond the, we want to have an ECOWAS that is a boundaryless kind of community. So of late, ECOWAS has been focused on free movement of people, integration in terms of trade, yes. In terms of free movement of people, in terms of security, agriculture, infrastructure. Yes. We are not going to have free movement of people when we don't have improved infrastructure within the region. Road connectivity is an issue. Communication is an issue. That's one of the issues, a major issue that we're trying to address. It doesn't make sense to ECOWAS to pay less money to call to the US or to call to France on your mobile phone. But very costly to call between Nigeria and Niger, which are close neighbors. So ECOWAS is working within the region, but also with outside of the region. We're trying to narrow down the gap between the people, but also trying to build a strong relationship with other institutions outside of the region. So those are the few things that we've been focused on: free movement of people and goods and skills, if you will, but also talking about integration economically and then building infrastructure across the region.
We know a lot of strides has been made, especially in terms of the Commission and the Parliament, with regards to the free movement of people, persons and goods and services, like you have mentioned. Yeah. But I was watching a documentary per se on how there are still challenges in terms of this free movement, where people move from Nigeria to Ghana to Niger, and there's still the difficulty of crossing the borders and getting into other countries. What are the measures being put in place to help curb this?
Thank you. It's a gradual process. Let's take into consideration. Let's take, for example, documentation, which is one of the issues that people have some problems with. When you move between Liberia and Sierra Leone, recently we were at the border between Sierra Leone and Liberia, and I'm trying to say some of the issues that were raised there. ECOWAS is trying to harmonize the documents that you need to present to travel across the borders. But even the cost of those documents has not been harmonized yet. So somebody traveling from Nigeria to Niger or to Ghana or to other countries, yes. You expect that when you get at immigration, crossing the immigration point should be easier for you now than it was before. The immigration officer at that point want to see whether you have certain travel documents,
Yeah.
which is
Yes.
one of the issues. What ECOWAS is working on now is to have a single travel document, or to have a simple travel document. Now, two of the countries, Senegal and Ghana, are accepting a simple, if you will, a simple ECOWAS identification card. It is not that way across the different countries. So the Commission is taking time, the region is taking gradually to get to that stage. So we're still having some issues based on documentations, requirements by different member states, and some of the laws that we have passed on free movement, unfortunately, and I would say unfortunately,
Yes.
have not been ratified, have not been domesticated in some of the countries. So those countries that have not domesticated those laws will be a little bit difficult to travel to, unlike those who have ratified the documents. So I would think some of the difficulties we are having now is the domestication of the laws, and then to be able to have a more simple requirements
Yes.
to travel, because
And to move-
if
and
we
to move
feel
about.
we are integrating based on security,
Yes,
we are
yes.
integrating economically. So in other words, movement should be easy. We've gone, in my mind, we have done some significant steps, and I'm sure that in the next couple of months to 1 year, these hurdles should be removed when it comes to movement of people and goods.
Is it possible to get the names of some of the countries that have domesticated and those that are yet to domesticate these laws?
Well, I can say in terms of free movement,
Yes.
almost all of the countries, but to put it into use, to begin to implement,
Yeah.
Practical
Ghana
terms.
and Niger have, in my view and
Yes.
from the records,
Yes.
other countries have domesticated, but when it comes to implementation
Implementation.
of having a simple requirement, I think those two countries have, but almost 90% plus of the 15 member states have domesticated the issue of free movement. Free movement is a major agenda now on all of the countries. I can even say, I'm sure all of the countries have domesticated, but how to put it into use, into force, in my mind, is where the gap is.
On the issue of free movement, I'm still looking at the issue of economic integration. You just mentioned that Ghana has domesticated, but of recent, we had some issues between Nigerian traders and, you wouldn't say Ghana and the Ghanaian authorities, where they said they would have to pay some certain amounts for them to trade, and all of those issues. That he had to take, intervention of, presidents of both countries meeting and all of those. But ECOWAS was also very emphatic on the fact that that would not stay. But issues like this have been coming, and it is like this may not be the last of it. How can we end once and for all this issue of free movement and issue of trade like what we have or had in Ghana? Because if Ghana is domesticated, then we shouldn't be having issues of Nigerian traders being almost thrown out, or thrown out as shops closed at some point.
Well, I think the changes that are going across the region, change in itself is how to come.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me, there is nothing that is as constant as change. It's going to take some time for people to accept that ECOWAS, we are removing the boundaries, and not just the artificial, the geographical boundaries. But we have to remove the boundaries in terms of interaction, in terms of trade. So there will be pockets of those kind of situations happening. But you will bear with me that a couple of years back, situations of that nature did not mean anything to anybody.
Yeah, it was done.
But with the changes now, situations like what happened in Ghana is claiming the attention
Yes.
of the stakeholders, which in my mind is indicative of the fact that we are not yet to where we want to be,
but not at the same spot.
but we are not to where
moved.
we used to be. Before, it didn't mean anything to any African leader. Whatever happened to a Nigerian in Liberia did not matter. Today we have a good number of Nigerians in my country who are doing what you would call daily hire jobs. Psychologically, on the minds of the Liberians, they have now started to see that a citizen of Nigeria is my brother.
Yes.
So I think some of the changes, positive changes that I've seen is, first of all, psychological changes that have happened. So it will take time for members, for citizens in the different countries the laws will be there. It will take some years for people to settle down from the mindset and then to begin to put it. But I like the step that ECOWAS took to say, Ghana, you are part of the decisions.
Yes.
You will play a major role. As a matter of fact, in the sub-region, Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger, they probably are in possession of the biggest economy.
Yes.
Now, to whom much is given, much is certainly expected. So we expect that Ghana and those other countries, and this is not that other countries should not fight to practicalize or to implement these things. But of course, when you occupy a space of leadership, it comes with some responsibility. So I think the intervention of ECOWAS and the timing in the intervention, I'm not sure it took more than months. Before, it wouldn't mean anything. And if you will, there will probably not be any intervention. Today, there are interventions because Ghana is aware that they are a part of the community, and any other West African citizens in Ghana should feel free. I go to Ghana now, and we have a lot of Ghanaians. I went to Niger a couple of days ago and met a lot of Nigerians, Hausas. I'm sure they have a common border,
Yes, borders.
and they live free there. Some MPs that travel with me from Nigeria live in Niger as though it's their home because they speak the same language. So now it cannot just be based on a political integration and the economy, but our interaction. So I can say that West Africans are psychologically
beginning to
accept
understand.
that we are the same people and we are the same.